Welcome, my friend, to YouTooSpain Live. This week, Chris and I will be talking about the strike by ITV workers and how it could affect you. And we follow that with Ask Us Anything. So get ready with your questions. Then we have the answers to 3 more frequently asked questions about moving to Spain. And finally, we'll be arguing heatedly with each other about which is the best way to learn Spanish. And the hot topic of the day, cats versus dogs. Which is the best and the tastiest? No, we shouldn't be eating them. But anyway, what do you think? Tell us in the live chat or in the comments, because you are a part of this too. That's what this channel is all about. And you're welcome to YouTooSpain. Run that theme music and let's dance. That is groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's meet my regular fortnightly expert guest. He's my mate and yours. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hola, matey.
Hola.
How's it doing down there on the coast?
Not too bad. We're overcast, but we're not raining yet. We're dying for a bit of rain, to be honest.
Oh, did you not have the overnight rain? We had some up here in the mountains.
Oh, did you know? We didn't get any. I've got all my plant pots out ready, natural water.
Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, great to see you as always. We're back being live this week, which is wonderful. I like the pre-recorded shows as well, which gives us a chance to have a Saturday morning off, but it's better live, isn't it? So we can actually talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's just the normal place, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're not watching us live, by the way, you can ask questions in the comments below. But those people who are watching live, so far we have Mike Ripper, who's commented, raining here in Busot. Where's that? Buso.
I think that's up in Alicante, isn't it? The north of Alicante, Busot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike's up in Alicante, definitely. And Robo, he's up there as well. Or is he in Almeria? No, it's Alicante. How long does it take to stop looking at the clock in Spain and the time is 10 o'clock, but you say to yourself, it's 9 o'clock at home? No, you're here. Home is here now. This is one of the things that, how long does it take you? That's another good question. How long does it take you to feel like Spain is home and to actually have it in your head that it's home? It didn't take us long at all, because we previously moved to Ireland and that became home. People would be always asking, when are you going home? To see your relatives, and going, no, this is home. We're waiting for them to come over here. So, and I think that's very much an Irish thing, because they say it doesn't matter where they go in the world, Ireland's always home. So, but for us, it doesn't matter where we go; it's where we are that's home.
Yeah, I spent longer now in my life here, so it's a bit weird when I go back.
Yeah.
So.
And David Jurado, I see, says hi. Paul Cook and Jen is back on there, and Roger Burke. Raining here in Cabo Roig. How do you pronounce that? Yeah, is that up in Alicante as well, or is that?
Roig. I think it's Roig. I think it's pronounced
Roig.
Cabo Roig. If it was Catalan, I think it's pronounced something like that.
Cool. Right then. So, ask away with your questions. Whatever happens, you will get your answers. And that is, as we always say, where's it gone? It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. I've got to hit that more often because I like it. Okay, so in a moment, we will cover this week's featured topic of the ITV Workers Strike. But let me just say, I've already said it, get your questions ready for Ask Us Anything, which is straight afterwards, so that they can be there ready for me to read off. Okay, so before that, it is features time, and that goes just like this. It's the main feature of the show. The topic's in the title. Woo! How silly is that? So, ITV workers, that's the MOT people, they went on strike this Thursday for what they call a new collective agreement. So tell us about that, Chris, and how it might affect us all.
Yeah, so basically, as an overview, we have, like everywhere, we have unions here in Spain, and workers who work for a company can also belong to a union. That union looks at things like convenios. A convenio is the agreement that the government or the authorities have on what they need to pay someone in a certain industry. So there's convenios for everything. So if you work in an airport, there'll be a convenio. If you're administrative staff, there'll be a convenio. And they can also be localized as well. So they recently, last year, updated the convenio for administrative staff in Malaga, for example. Mm-hmm. It affects things like work times, wages, etc., etc. Now, basically, what's happening is you can have legal strike action, and this is organised by the unions. And the ITVs are basically complaining about two main things. They're complaining about that the contractual agreement hasn't been updated correctly, so they're not getting paid enough. So it's most strikes are related to pay rises, aren't they?
Yeah.
To be honest, so there is a payment dispute there as well. And there's also a dispute about the not being paid any sort of money for breathing in toxic gases. So it is true. I always think that when I'm at the ITV, these guys are there all day long. Now, they do have huge precautions for people. So, the big machines that suck it all out and stuff, but it can't be good being there every day. So no. I don't think that's included in their convenio. From what I was reading, I read a few articles like the Malagoy and a lot of Spanish articles, and they were saying that that's a big complaint of theirs. So, so basically that's why they're on strike, and it's quite a big strike as well.
And is it ongoing? Because I was in this article, it talks mainly about where it started on. Actually, I've got all the dates. It was in the article: 19th, 20th, 21st, 23rd, 26th, 27th, 28th, and 30th. That's the strikes that have been called so far, and they've had large gatherings. So that was from 2 days ago. Yeah,
basically they've taken it out next week. That's it. You can forget it. So what they did say is they'll continue to attend emergency services and public transport. So police cars, ambulances. Don't know about taxis. Didn't see that written anywhere. I did try and have a look, but. The problem is everybody. So all the articles that you read, they take little snippets from what the official bodies have published. Well, the BASA haven't published anything apart from we'll be on strike, and will notify you if you had an appointment by text, and you will be assigned another one. That's it. So and then you get little snippets from everywhere else. But basically, next week there's no appointments. This is Andalusia wide as well, but. With that, believe it or not, before we came on, I actually looked at the available appointments and wrote them down. I did some notes. This is amazing. This is the new me.
Wow.
This is so. And I was just looking around in Malaga to see what your options were in Malaga, and it's true. Next week there's no appointments at all, and the earliest appointment available that I found was in the one close to you in Algarrobo on the 14th of October.
Oh.
Right, so the appointments run from, and the last appointment I found was in Antequera on the 21st to the 10th. So there's a week's different. The rest of the stations are all running in that second or third week in October. Which, to be honest, is quite normal. It's quite normal to have the appointments in 3 weeks' time anyway. So it doesn't look like there's been too much of a disruption. Though when I looked at other regions, just had a quick scoot around to have a look in Granada and stuff like that. Believe it or not, up in Loja, there was an appointment for Monday. So I don't know if they're not on strike up there or whatever, but I found a couple. So if you really are desperate, it's worth jumping on the booking system and you can drive anywhere in Andalusia. Just keep looking, because I found some for Monday in Granada, which is only, an hour and a half away.
Well, that's good to hear. Just reading and what they're negotiating on is that it's been 7 years since they've passed an agreement that was signed 16 years ago, and so some of the permits are totally obsolete. The new permits aren't even included in the previous agreement. So I can see why they're doing this. It does need updating, and they need paying properly.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a crucial service. That's it. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 9 stations now in Malaga. And when I first moved here, I think there was 5. So it shows the expansion of the population, and it's needed, and they're always full. I have to take our local one, El Viso, who we work with for the vehicle registrations. I have to take my hat off to them. They're always very, very, very good with the vehicle registrations. You know, they open the files very quickly. They normally get us our appointment within a month. And they're very clear and concise normally on the paperwork if there's any sort of problems or something to be resolved.
So how's it affecting people? Obviously delaying appointments is the main thing.
Yeah, mate, the biggest thing is delaying appointments. So, for example, when it comes to normal ITVs, you will have a text saying that it's been cancelled and they should assign you another one. Though, to be honest with you, if you get that text, don't wait for it to be assigned, just book one in anyway. Because there'll be no one there to assign it because they're all on strike. And in terms of the vehicle registrations, what you'll find is each ITV station has a limited amount of appointments for that kind of operation. It's done on a manual basis, i.e. you can't book these appointments online, so you have to send an email or present the documents in person. And we, for example, have got 4 file numbers which are open, where they normally assign an appointment between 7 and 10 days for the future. And we've been waiting 7 and 10 days and they haven't assigned any appointments. So it's mainly on both fronts, normal cars, Spanish cars, and matriculations. We're not getting appointments at the moment. Though, as I said, normal cars, if you have been cancelled, just go straight back on and book up or look for a different region to go to.
Yeah. So is there anything else happening? Or have you read about anything elsewhere in Spain?
No, not at the moment. And don't forget also, you're not limited to where, if you're in Andalusia and fancy a holiday in Murcia and you've got ITV appointments the very next day, there go. You can go.
Yeah, that's the closest place, isn't it? Well, unless you live in the north.
Yeah. You really don't. You can pass your ITV test anywhere. There's a lot of people, for example, people who know this are in the Torrevieja area, for example, that there can be a nightmare getting the appointments there. But the La Ita, who are the company who run the ones over the border in Murcia, actually run quite a tidy show. So a lot of people go over the border to Murcia to do that. We've got a guy in Almeria who helps us do the matriculation ITVs. It's just a garage. We obviously can't be there all the time, and he assists with that. And sometimes he'll jump over the border into Murcia to do those. And it doesn't matter that the client lives in Almeria as long as it passes.
Cool. Anything else? We've not got any questions specifically about the feature. We'll come to those in the Ask Us Anything. So anything else we need to tell people about it?
I think just keep an eye, obviously, on the news. And I would. Doesn't seem to be like in COVID, for example. We've got concessions for people who couldn't get appointments, and the ITV was expired. Okay, so because of the medical situation, emergency, we were a state of alarm. That's not going to happen, right? Because they're on strike. That's not their, the fact that your ITV runs out is not their problem that they're on strike. So you're not going to get any concessions for cancelled appointments and stuff like that, I'd imagine. And I very much doubt they're going to prioritise people whose ITV have already run out or runs out soon. So I would just say the biggest bit of advice would be, if you have been cancelled, just try and find an appointment as quickly as possible. And if it's not in your region, it's a good excuse to have a day out.
Yeah. Be quite a nice drive. What's the nearest places to me? I guess I'd have to. I think Murcia might be near, or go just straight north from Malaga and go into what's the next autonomous region above Andalusia from where you are.
You would be looking at it closer to Madrid, wouldn't you? It'd be Castillon way, wouldn't it? There'd be what we got here.
Well, I think there's some in between that.
What's between it?
Just north of Jaén. What's north of Jaén? Because that Jaén's almost on Extremadura. There you go.
That's a long way, old Extremadura.
Yeah, it is quite far. It's a big place, Andalusia. So Murcia would be it's probably 3 or 4 hours.
If I was really struggling and I needed one, I'd be probably looking at Castilla de la Mancha. That's Castilla de la Mancha. That's right. That's above.
Is that in the sort of towards Portugal?
Between Madrid and us and Extremadura. Yes, so Extremadura is off to your left. Castilla de la Mancha. I'd probably be heading to Murcia. The reason being is because the density of the population on the coast. So you generally, when you drive through Murcia, you're generally like ITV. You know. So and there's a great ITV station in Mazaron. So that's very new and very nice and very friendly. Go there for a day.
You can go visit Ciaran.
Yeah, go visit Ciaran. tell him that we sent you, and that he's offers on him.
And he'll film you and and you can go out for an Indian together, or whatever, any kind of meal, something Spanish.
Yeah.
It's just me that goes for Indians all the time. So that's about everything we've got to say about that for now. But if you have any more questions throughout the show, then carry on asking or in the comments. And also smash that like button into smithereens, my smashing friends, especially if you've got some information you need from today's topic. And of course, make a note of, itchy note. Don't make a note of my itchy nose. Make a note of Chris's website, upsticks.es, which is on screen most of the time there. And you can find articles on there about everything to do with visas and residency, and also moving your car into Spain, which we were going to have a show about that next week, but Laura's a bit busy, snowed under. So
yeah, it's a little bit busy at the moment. So, but we will get one on there.
Yeah, probably in another 3 weeks, maybe. Yeah. We'll find out. So it's time for Ask Us Anything. So this goes like this. Ask us anything you like, as long as it's to do with moving to Spain or living here. Thank you. Let's see what questions you have for us on the live chat then, first of all. Here we go. Jen says she applied for the ACRO yesterday. The last passport used my old photo, which is now 18 years old. The ACRO site pointed out the significant difference between passport and the current one I had to upload. I'm old, she says. I know it does say on whenever you have to upload a passport photo. I was going to get a passport card to go along with my big full passport from Ireland, because it's so much easier to carry around and I don't want to lose my passport. So, and it does say it's got to be up to date. It can't be, your old photo, which is a shame because I got 8 done when I was getting the picture taken for the other one. Anyway, so she says, to clarify, I uploaded the passport, an up-to-date passport style photo. It's been a hard 18 years, she says. Yeah, I know. Mine looks completely different. So yeah, that was just a report. How are the acros going, Chris? Anything
good.
There?
Good. We're back. We're sort of finding a bit of normality after the madness of summer now. There's a few visas which are lingering about at the moment, hitting the 90-day mark, or there's a couple actually gone over that, which need a chase up, because it seems sometimes with our Spanish administration, they tend to hit the new pile as they're coming in and still get rid of the backlog as they feel like it, not hit the backlog first. So, but in general, at the moment, things have calmed down after summer and we're more or less stabilised. Normally going into October, then you'll see that it's more regular than everything. Yeah,
I noticed quite a lot of people, the businesses, head off for a quick holiday in October, just as everything cools down, but it's still warm enough.
Yeah.
So Robo says, I've just changed my tariff with Iberdrola, that's the electric one, as I was on a non-residential tariff. That's good. Our water is with Hydra Agua. Can I change tariff on this one, or is it just one set rate? Water rates are so low, aren't they, that it's hardly worth changing, isn't it?
Are you with Hydra Agua? I'd have to have a look at the website. I don't think normally you can't. Normally you're just on a set meter, aren't you? So I don't think you can unless there's anything local we can do it. But normally it's on a meter.
Yeah, I can't advise on that one because electricity and water and everything, that's the landlord pays it, and then he sends us the bill, so he can't change anything. I did say to him, do you check out and and see the prices? But our electricity is quite cheap, so we're on one of those variable rate ones where you check every day. The rate changes every hour, and that's quite handy to have a good app. So, for example, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, between 2 and 6, tends to be a really good time. That's when the cheap hours are, especially at the weekend. So, doing a load of washing today.
The water there, I'll tell you what, that Hydro Agua they just mentioned in there, they've got a fantastic website, and it's fantastic in English as well. Yeah, there you go, Robert. Check out their website. I'll just put it up here quickly, and they've got payment online, water consumption. You can put in your how much you've used. Change your account order, prior, get an appointment. Wow, that's one of the best websites I've seen for a water company. You normally can't get hold of ever. So there you go. You've done a good selection there. You seem to have gone with a good company.
Yeah. So yes, ask them to see if they've got another tariff.
They've got really, really good website there. So there you go.
Good. Interesting question from Andy that I'm not sure. I'm Irish, says Andy. Do I need to apply for a work permit when I arrive in Spain? Do EU need a work permit, or is it just something that automatically happens when you get the job?
No, you have the right to work with your passport, but evidently you will need to put documentation in place. So you'll need an NIE number, eventually a social security number as well, which puts you in the system. It's very much like you would do in any country. So in the UK, you'd need a national insurance number, wouldn't you? Here, the two main numbers to work are the NIE, which you would need before you get your national insurance number, because you need that to get it. And as long as you've got those two, you can actually get a job or go self-employed and use that documentation to get your residency in Spain. You don't have to get your residency first to get a job.
Yeah.
Of which we've done two. No, we've done three the last couple of weeks, which Antonio's helped us with the self-employment stuff like that. Malaga here, we're very flexible in as soon as you're registered, you make one payment, they'll give you residency off the back of it.
Cool. So the answer is no then on that particular question. Robert says it feels surreal sat here watching you guys in Spain after having watched for a few years every Saturday in the UK. Can't thank you two guys enough for everything you've done for us. Big shout out to Jane at Upsticks. Of course, she's the backbone of the company, isn't she?
She is. Jane has to put up with me, so we'll give her a shout out for that.
Yeah. Yes, all of that admin, but she is an expert at that.
Yeah.
There we go. You could do with 2 Janes and another 2 of you, so that you can relax.
Yes. I think I would love to step away more. I don't like admin that much. Jane loves it. Yeah, every time Jane finishes a folder, she's like, brilliant, that's great. She really loves and stationery and admin. And as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, oh no, I don't like admin.
No, it's much more fun being out on the road, meeting people.
Yes, I like being on the road, meeting people and getting out and doing videos. But sadly, you do have to do a few emails now and then.
Robert says his Iberdrola was previously 24 kilowatts an hour. After changing, it's now 16 kilowatts. Okay.
Euros, is that, or don't know.
I don't know how changing your tariff affects how much, because that's 24 kilowatts an hour is how much electricity you use.
Well.
So, yeah, not sure about that. Andy says thank you for the info. Any more questions on Ask Us Anything? I think I've got some on. Oh no, that's frequently asked questions. Oh no, we've got some reports. Oh, I think this is all about the Convenio Especial, which we're going to be talking about on the frequently asked questions. So shall we go to that?
Let's do it.
I think we should. I did have one from Facebook. Oh, hang on a minute. Yes, this was from Ruth Baldacera, I think. It's quite an involved question, but now that's about Convenio Especial and renewals. No, we'll do that in the Convenio Especial question. Yes, we have got. Is that one of our? No, it's not one of our questions. So let's do it now. Okay, here are your answers, Ruth. So, just a bit of background. Her and her husband started their NLV 5-year journey in August 2021. They've just renewed for years 4 and 5. Yeah, that does sound like it's Ruth, because they've just done that. So far, they've been on private health insurance, which runs January to December, because that's when they moved, I think. Husband turns 66 on, now this is the problem they've got, because he turns 66 on December the 27th, 2024. So qualifies for his pension and the S1 for 2025. But of course, you've only got that very short a period of time. If they want to cancel the healthcare for 2025, the private healthcare, is there a time period that they have to notify them ages before, 1st of October or something like that? Let's answer that for a start.
Yeah, the biggest problem there is the timing, because I think the problem is there, Ruth, is because albeit you can get the S1 for the 27th and quite possibly before, because they will issue it before to start on the 27th, you're not going to have it registered and that certificate that you need to prove that the healthcare has been continuous.
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare always has to be continuous. So, for example, so when you do a renewal, or when you apply initially, you get that healthcare certificate from your private provider. Yeah, and that will have a start date and a renewal date, and it'll say it renews annually. What happens is a lot of people get put into an annually, because the initial visa, you have to show you've got 12 months. It will normally be to go from like June to June or something like that. Then for renewal, what the companies generally try and do is get you on a January renewal, which is their standard format. That's quite normal. Okay, so when you get your 12 months for the initial visa application, that's normally, every company works differently, but it's normally them stepping out of the boundaries to give you a year, to then try and eke you back into the yearly renewals in January, which is what they prefer. For renewal, that's normally accepted. You know, we don't have a problem. We've never had a problem with that. What we have had in the past is getting close towards the end of the year. We've submitted documents maybe in November, December, and the certificate runs out in December, and they haven't been issued the new one for the following year. And immigration will come back and say, can you just prove that you're going to renew or have renewed for the following year? We have had that in the past. But the problem is the continuation. So if you switch onto an S1 platform, we've recently just done a renewal like that, where the clients had the healthcare into the end of the year, and then you've got an S1 around September, which we managed to get registered about the November time. This was last year, and then they basically had their certificate to prove they had access to the state system, so they could sack off their private healthcare and use that to continue. But I don't think there's going to be enough time there between giving up the healthcare, which you have to give them X amount of notice, depending on the company. That could be 30, 60, and it's one case that's what 90 days, and actually getting the S1 registered on the social security system. I suppose the answer will be contact the pension service and see when is the earliest opportunity that they'll give you the S1, because they may send it out to you with the start date of the pension, and then try and register it and see if you can get it registered with a start date from the national health service here in Spain from the 27th. So yeah,
cool. And they're also talking about going on the Convenio Especial to bridge the gap, but you haven't got time to apply for that at this stage, have you?
No, the Convenio Especial is obviously. Are we going to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about it afterwards? I think we're talking about that now, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't think our questions afterwards are talking much about it, but let's talk about it now briefly, and we can fill it and any other details after that.
Yes, so talk about the Convenio Especial. So the Convenio Especial, yeah, I mean, look, you could the things about the cost of that as well, because for over 65s, the Convenio Especial is 157 euros a month. Right, so that would you could apply for it, get that approved. I suppose now they've got 90 days to respond, and it's the same old problem that we have with the paperwork. It's like the visas, you know, we've seen them come out now in 9 days, 14 days, but then they have got up to 90 days, and you have to bear that in mind. Yeah, so sometimes I imagine these administrative offices, they go, yeah, oh no, we're going to pull that one, and that's for review, and that's just put that back 2 months, and yeah, there's another one. So you can never be absolutely sure. But yeah, I mean, the Convenio Especial, as long as it was registered and you were on it and you had your certificate, and that certificate predated the cancellation of the private healthcare, then it wouldn't be a problem. It's,
So that might be the best thing to do. They've only just slightly over 90 days to do that in. So
yeah, and then bear in mind the cancellation. Yeah, so you got 9. What are we on now? The October the 10th, October 20th, November, December. Yeah, and then it's the cancellation period for the private healthcare, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Normally, funny enough, you know, the documents I sent to you via email, they came from Jose and Antonio's office, because I was speaking to him about it, because he's the one that actually does the applications. He was like, he said, they can come out in 30 days. I'm going, yeah, but this is very time dependent for us. He's going, look, the maximum is 90 days because that's the administrative period everybody has, every office. But he said normally they come out within 30 days. So I was like, okay. So it's one of those. It's a little bit of a juggling act, and it's a little bit of a risk to do it because of the timescales.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying that private health insurance will probably be 3,000 for the year because it's gone up 250 every year since they started. So that's her concern. Obviously, she didn't want to fork out £3,000 when they could get on the system on the monthly. Can you, once you've got on the Convenio Especial, can you stop it once you get your private again easily?
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. I think if you were on the Convenio Especial, and then it's very much like if you imagine the social security, though, so the public system as it's contributionary based system. So you have to prove you're contributing to receive your healthcare, and you have a green and a red light, basically. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how you're contributing, your circumstances could change. Yeah. So if you're paid into the Convenio Especial and you've got your green light because you're paid into it, don't forget you don't get your prescriptions paid on the Convenio Especial. You only get the healthcare. Then that's fine. If your circumstances change and you go from that to an S1, for example, well, that will be the person who's showed as paying the social security, and then the previous circumstance you can get rid of. A lot of people, families, for example, do this. Spanish families do have their kids associated to one parent or the other, depending on what the parent earns. Yeah, so the less they earn, the more discount they get on the prescription, for example. So yeah, it's contributionary based. As long as your contributions in whichever shape or form are showing as being received, you'll receive the healthcare.
Brilliant. Oh, look, guess who's online? Squidgy Inkster. Say hello to your son, Chris.
Hey, Raoul.
Hi, Raoul.
How you doing?
Yeah,
that's my son.
Yes, and he has his own YouTube channel called Squidgy Inkster. If you're into video games, that's the one to join up.
Yeah.
Subscribe. And let's see, Robert Stubbs from Cooking Made Easy. Interesting. Appreciate you both doing what you do. Had our discovery chat with Chris a couple of weeks ago back, looking to move September next year. Keep up the good work, guys. Excellent. Yeah, stay in touch and keep watching.
Has Robert got a cookery channel there? I'm going to write that down.
Is this Cooking Made Easy? Is it a YouTube channel?
We like a bit of cooking.
Absolutely, yeah. And anything made easy is good.
Yeah.
Jason's web is on. Hi, Jason. And he is asking, are there any regions that consider a Spanish-owned property towards the EPREM for the non-lucrative visa? I think that's a yes. Which ones?
There is what all regions consider it. Now, what you have to be aware of with the property is that they don't disclose how much of the percentage of the property value they use towards the EPREM, which is a bit of a risk because you don't know then if it's going to make up a shortfall, if they're going to consider it or not. That's the problem. So we always advise people it's best just to have the cash asset and the property as a backup. But that's our problem. It's our problem with renewals as well. So we've had a few renewals for the NLV where the cash asset has been quite tight, and on those occasions, what we've done is we've provided an up-to-date notice simply in the first few pages of the deeds, which shows the purchase price of the property, and added that to the documents with an explanation as what we're giving, and it's always been accepted. But we don't know if you've got property worth 100 grand if they take into consideration 10%, for example. So
excellent. And Robert says yes, it is, presumably in answer to my question, is it a YouTube channel, and did it in lockdown a while ago now. Excellent. Just let me write that down. Cooking Made Easy, so I don't forget afterwards because the comments disappear. Cooking Made Easy.
I'm subscribing now.
Yeah,
because I will forget.
I can't open anything else while I'm on this while I'm on Restream, so never mind. But it is written down now. And Jason says, yeah, my problem is the cash assets. Yeah, isn't it the same for each of us, I think? And I had it, when all of this uproar about how much you needed for renewals and whether you needed twice as much when that happened. I don't know, it was about 2 years ago when there was the kind of uproar, particularly from people in Almeria, I think. And I got told off for saying, yeah, you need double the monthly amount, and it's whether you need the passive income to double or not. That's the important thing, because you don't. And anyway, yeah, I got a good telling off for saying, well, what you really need is to have a good margin above what it says you need, because then it looks like you mean business, and that you're going to stay there, and that you're not going to claim money from Social Security and be a burden on the tax man. So and yeah, I got told off for that, saying you're getting rid of people's hope that they can move. And it's not up to me what they hope. It's up to me to give a sort of practical overview of, and for you to do that, isn't it? To be realistic about things.
Absolutely. It's like tax questions and stuff, and we say we're not tax advisors, always wave that banner, but we do identify certain tax liabilities. And if we're going through a process with somebody, we don't say, oh yeah, we can get your visa, don't worry. We'll try and identify if they need to speak to somebody else, and it means putting them back 6 months, then it's putting somebody back 6 months, and the same with the renewals. I think something to bear in mind with the renewals, so like a quick case study of a recent one we had, is even if you just present savings, and we always try and say that you've got to make sure that those savings are a cash asset, and they want to know what the net value of those savings are. Say, for example, you had them wrapped up in an ISA and you could access them, but there was a penalty. You'd have to be able to show what the net value of that was minus the penalty, which is slightly complicated, but it's best to know that. Is they could ask you what you're living off, because the fact that because it's an unworking visa, the fact that you've got a lump of money in a bank is great. But we've had it before. They come back and go, okay, that's fine, that's brilliant, but now show us 12 months bank statements, because we want to know what they're living off, because they've got that cash there, but how they're funding their lives in Spain. Yeah. And they might end up being big spenders and going out for meals all the time, and then it'll look like all their money is going out the window, and they're going to have to claim Social Security. Well, I mean, it's no problem as long as you've got the cash asset. If you're, say, for example, for a couple, you've got 36,000 in income, and you blow that income every year, it's not a problem, because you've got the income and you're blowing it. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You can do that. I don't think you've got to. But on savings, it works slightly differently. And like we recently had a case where they came back and asked some questions, and we just showed that, look, the pension that's being paid, the net pension that's being paid, is this. It meets the minimum pension. They've got a property. They've also got savings, but this is the money coming into the bank account. This is all they're living off. They don't need 3,000 euros a month to live off. They're actually living off of 900 euros because they own the property and don't go out that much. And so yeah, but unfortunately, you have to, and it is double if it's savings. So and I don't care if I get shot down in flames, because there has been videos out there saying, oh, you need 1 year for 2 in Almeria, blah blah blah. No, it's not. It's double if it's savings, and if it's passive income, it's considered as recurring, which means it's counted as double.
Yeah, excellent. That's the clearest explanation of that in a short space of time that I've heard. So fantastic. You're so used to telling people that. Great. Okay, let's move on to the frequently asked questions. And obviously, if you've got chat questions coming in, we'll still talk to you and give you the answers on that one. So frequently asked questions, which goes like this. FAQs just for you, but some of them might not be so frequent. It's true, yes, we're going to run out of frequently asked questions and go on to infrequently asked at some point, but let's see whether these ones are frequently or not. What 3 questions do we want to give you the answers for today?
Okay. Did I send you them? Sorry, you've looked.
You did, yeah. Well, so what is the fiscal year in Spain was the first one. I can read them out.
I was concentrating that much on my ITV notes. I didn't have my frequently asked questions down. So these are the FAQs that I normally get these from calls and stuff that we've had. And just talking about calls there, Robert, can you put your YouTube hook? because I found about 50,000 made easy, cooking made easy.
Oh yeah, cooking made easy. Yeah, tell us.
Give us your YouTube thing so we can.
I don't think they can put links in the comments, but if you can't find a way of doing it, Robert, then send me an email at YouTooSmile@gmail.com, and then you can send me a link on that. That's easy on email, but I think links appear as something different on screen when you do it here, or you have to write the words dot and com and leave a space after it as well, so you can put the address part.
Brilliant.
Yes, good.
Sorry about that interruption.
That's all right. So the fiscal year, it's quite an easy one, this one.
Yeah, so Jan, so we always get asked this. The reason I had this as well, and this comes up, this question. So you imagine that we get like the sort of the spring, end of spring, May, June sort of fiscal year question all the time, because people are looking at coming in and saving the capital gains. That's what happens again this time of year, because a lot of people are looking at, do I go for the visa? The house is sold, but I haven't got the money in the bank. That situation is happening. And the reason that happens is because the fiscal year runs from January to December here in Spain. So for NLV applicants, and this is what comes up an awful lot in my conversations with potential clients that we have, is about the timing, as we always speak about. But this time of the year, it's generally about, we're already into that back end period. And it's quite possible if you start now your visa application, you'll have a visa for January next year, or maybe even earlier. But if you are consolidating assets and any of that consolidation seeps into next year and that money hits your bank next year, then you could be fiscally liable for it in Spain the following year. So this is why this time of year we have, for example, we've got 2 cases going through at the moment where we've openly discussed with the clients, look, what is the financial liability if you go ahead now and then it turns out we have to pull the plug on the application and start again next year? Well, it's the documentation, right? So we don't charge our clients another fee because they stopped and had to start again, but they've got to get acros, apostilles, translations. It's how far do we take that in tandem with, is the house going to sell and is the money going to go in the bank,
Yes, timing is everything.
Timing.
Here we go. So that's question 1. And number 2, what taxes do you have to pay to bring your belongings into Spain? This is quite frequently asked.
This is. And the thing is, if you're changing residency, you don't have to pay any taxes. Okay. But the problem is most people want their goods before they've got the documentation in place to be able to waive the tax.
So do you need your TIE first?
You need your padron. In theory, you need your resguardo, not your TIE, your resguardo, which is when you've been to the police station and you've got your piece of paper. Though we have seen it in the past where the aduanas, which is the customs here, have said, oh no, we want to see TIE. We're like, but this is the same value. This proves that TIE has been made. You just don't physically have it, and we've had to wait for that. So yeah, the problem we've got is the timing again. So what a lot of people do now, most transport companies will tell you that once you've paid the tax, you can actually claim it back once you've got your TIE card. Now, how easy that is, I haven't got a clue. I haven't done that operation, but I do know that the tax office doesn't like giving money back. But one of the conversations that I had with one of the clients who's already here now, our clients who are already here now, they did their calculation of how much it would have cost them to have their stuff in storage in the UK, what the transport company said it was going to cost them in tax at the border, which was €500. And they just said, look, if we get we're going to write off the €500. If we get it back, great. If we don't, it's 25% of what we would have paid in storage. So we sent our stuff anyway.
Excellent. Oh, Jen says, nice positive comment. When we spoke on Wednesday, Chris, I thought your comment about applying early for health insurance was a good point due to the potential turnaround time, not least to ensure acceptance. Absolutely. Doing things in advance is good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the third frequently asked question, insurance, tax and MOT are running out on the car. So this would be their UK insurance tax and MOT running out on the car that I'm bringing over, but can't get the ITV registered in time in Spain. This is even more relevant to today's topic. What can I do?
Yeah, so what you can do now, but now we're talking about third vehicles which come from a non-EU country and vehicles which come from the EU. So vehicles that come from the EU, slightly easier because you can go straight and order these 60-day provisional plates. Okay, and these 60-day provisional plates are designed for vehicles which find themselves in an irregular situation to give them that time to pass the ITV and get the vehicle registered. Okay, so that's what they're for. Vehicles which come from outside the EU can also get the 60-day plates, but to be able to get them, you must have imported the vehicle through customs, which means either waiving the tax, which means you'd have to wait for your residency documents because you need that to prove your residency in Spain, or paying the tax. So recently, for example, we just did one for a client of ours who's been here 5 years and they've bought over a Vespa, historic Vespa, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And they need to go on provision. It needs to go on P plates to be able to go to the ITV station because it's just completely deregistered from the UK. And that's fine because they actually pay the tax at customs. And when we've got the documents, to be able to do so. So P plates are available to help people in that situation.
Great stuff. Robbo's replying to Jen. When I applied for the NLVR appointment was the 7th of June. Private health insurance started 15th of July, albeit we were not scheduled to leave UK until the 23rd of August, so we lost 1 month. You could, in theory, from talking to our insurance man Ciaran the other week, you could actually have moved that date forward, I think, but it depends on the insurance company you're going with, and they'd have moved it to your moving date, I think, but I don't know if every company can do that.
It varies. It's all about the timing. So you've got the seasons and the timing. So summer's different to winter, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And there's 3 things to factor. The first thing is getting the agreement that you can get the insurance. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's one thing you've got to make sure that you can actually get an agreement to make sure your insurance is going to be in place for when you need it. And then it's looking at your target entry date into Spain. So if your target entry date in Spain is X, then you can start your insurance on there. But we've got, for example, some clients who are going through now, which their target entry date in Spain is as soon as possible. That's it. Mm-hmm. Right. So we're like, okay, well, look, you're going to your consulate appointment in September. Try and get your insurance to start in October because that shows that you want to be in Spain, and we have a great variation of the dates that visas are being released, but at least that shows willing. If the visa isn't released till November, at least they know then that your insurance has already started, and unfortunately you're going to lose a month, but it shows not willing. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for, I can't find it. But anyway, so if your enter date is like now, I just want to come in, then I'll be starting the health insurance probably as close to the appointment as possible. But if you have a set target date like the 1st of November onwards, don't start the insurance till then.
Great. Good afternoon, Mad David says. Is it afternoon? Whereabouts are you? You're somewhere east of here. He's a bit late to the party. Never mind. Hope you had a good lie-in. There we go. So, excellent. So, wasn't that fun? Frequently asked questions. Before we start our next section, the final section of the show, extremely popular arguments section, which is, always fun. It's time for your halftime reminder of all of the services available to you as a YouTooSpain follower. And while you're watching that, take a moment to subscribe, click on the bell. It's very quick, it costs you nothing. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. And also hover over the buy me a coffee thing and give us your support there. Okay, so right lads, take it away. Are you getting the most out of YouTooSpain? Yes, no, I don't know. Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's not the bloody Graham Norton show. There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed with all the information you need so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here.
Without paying tax?
No, Colonel, that's illegal. Naughty boy.
Bah!
You can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully. How do I find the videos, darling? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And click on the bell, you useless cunt.
Colonel, there's also a gorgeous YouTooSpain website full of articles, links and everything you need. YouTooSpain.com. And if you want to say thank you to YouTooSpain for all of the valuable information, or if you've been entertained, you can support Skatz with a donation.
He looks like he needs a support. The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him.
Colonel! The Colonel's not a very nice man. It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype. Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not.
Brexit!
And how do I support YouTooSpain?
Use the QR code in the corner!
Or you can find it in the SuperLink in the video description below. Where?
In the video description, you bloody idiot.
I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery.
There!
It's below the video title. Down there.
It says, read more.
That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears. There's so much more down below. And don't forget the Facebook page and the YouTooSpain community group, darling, where you can talk to other people just like you. Oh, there's no one like me, sweetie.
Thank goodness.
Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things. Oh, I do like things. Where's Doogie Dog? I'm stuck behind a wall. Oh, sorry, Doogie. Follow my voice. Thank you, Master.
Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants.
Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio. Thank you, lads. That was very informative. And yes, we'll leave the Colonel punching servants and move on very quickly to the part of the show you've all been waiting for. It's the big debate. And normally Chris and I agree on quite a lot of things on this show, but you can't agree about everything. So we're going to have an argument about the important things in life, which today are as follows. Number one, what's the best method for learning Spanish? Structured learning with either a tutor or an app, or getting drunk and going in at the deep end and chatting with the locals. Just make sure there's nobody English there to tempt you to speak English. There you go. And the second one is cats versus dogs. Which is best? And should you eat them? No, I'll just cut that one out straight away. It's very topical, though.
Is at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, Trump.
It is, yeah. Absolutely. So there could be a scrap. Probably not, because we're not in the same room for a start. So let's dive straight into the dark, turgid waters of disagreement and see what you think about our first quandary. The best method for learning Spanish. And I think you're going to go for the getting drunk and going in at the deep end, aren't you? Because that's how you did it.
I certainly am. So I'm going to go with the unstructured method. Now, I do have to concede that some form of structure is a good idea. Some form, but definitely not what I see. A lot of people. It's what I'm trying to get at is less stress means more learning. Right? And I see so many times people stressed out about what they haven't learned and not enjoying what they have learned and how they learned it. And as a retiree, now I was very, very lucky when I learned Spanish because I was younger. I was 21 when I moved here, and I lived immediately in an apartment with Spanish people, and there was no smartphones or anything. It was learn or die. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was it was how it was. There was definitely no structured learning really. It was just point to things and say that's called a fridge and that's how you say it. I don't think I wrote anything down for the first 3 months until I got a conversation. I was like, better learn something, really. So,
yeah.
But the unstructured way, things like just taking post-it notes, writing it down, cover your house in post-it notes. Just do it, because if you pass a post-it note 20 times and you read it out loud 20 times, say it's on a cup, on a taffa, or a mug, whatever, and you've got that stuck on there, you read it 20 times, that'll stay in your brain, right? And I know we have things like past, present, and future tense, which, can I say, the Spanish get wrong, right? The Spanish get that wrong, because they do. Sometimes me me and Antonio have to often have a laugh, because Antonio, sometimes we're talking things, I write things in Spanish, he'll look at it, he writes things in English, and I look at it, and we have a laugh about the way that we both do things. And sometimes he's like, even I get that wrong, and I'll be like, yeah, well, we get this wrong in English as well. So
that's handy, that, because I was going to ask you, how long does it take, and do people actually correct you and change things? Because you need that as well. That's the part of the lesson that I actually need the most, is to be able to talk to somebody and say, oh, am I doing that right? What does that mean? And
yeah, I mean, my friend Angel, I don't know if you met him, who's a very good friend of mine, speaks perfect English.
Yes,
He's been 5 years, teaches it in the university. But we correct each other. He will turn around and say, I don't on a day-to-day basis get corrected at all, to be honest with you now. But when we're talking about technical Spanish, and I write all the letters and stuff like that in Spanish now, it's fine. But Antonio will pick up on something. He'll say, that doesn't sound native when we're writing stuff. He won't say it's wrong, but it doesn't sound native. That makes sense.
That's good. It's a good approach, yeah.
Yeah, and then Angel my friend, he will always correct me and say, actually, you should have said it like that. But yeah, my initial first 10 years was pretty unstructured, to be honest, and yeah, I'm going for the less stress approach, to be honest with you. None of this. I haven't got to page 42, so I can't carry on lessons. I hate seeing that. I hate seeing people under pressure to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that, I mean, I go for the structured learning, but there's very much a personal taste thing and a personal learning method that people have, and I think it's a matter of finding the right structured method that works for you. And because everybody learns different, because I started off on Duolingo and Busuu, the language apps, and but I do want to be able to ask questions and have conversations. So as soon as I got to Spain, started with one-to-one with a tutor in the village. I like to see things, I like to make sure I've got it right from the offset, which, as you say, can be stress for some people, but for me it's less stress to know that I'm doing the right thing, the right native thing, and saying things, because if I know I'm doing that, it gives me more confidence to actually speak it. So yeah, I'm a person who likes things written down quite a lot. I'm the only student from that teacher over the years that she's been teaching in Spain, and she's been here about as long as you have, I think, who's actually created the thing that she's suggested all the time, which is get a notebook and put all your verb endings and all of the stuff, in the front, so it's all structured, and you can go at any time, you can go, oh yeah, right, I know I'm doing that right. But it's not the sort of thing you can pull out in the middle of a conversation and go, right, what's your past participle of the verb to learn, or something like that, because that just breaks down the conversation, doesn't it?
Or you could, because that'll just generate that'll just go off into something else.
Oh, yeah, true. If it's a conversation starter, yeah,
it's
good.
I think it's a lot. I mean, I used to write stuff down. I felt like I'll just go down. Yeah, what's this? Chicken. Okay, go. And I'm going to ask for a chicken. Okay, and I have got. I suppose I always, because I was a little bit younger as well, and I've never really had much of a care approach about whether people understand it or not. As long as I can go in and achieve what I want to, then I'll improve the next time. But when I just put a bull in the china shop really in my Spanish when I first started.
I suppose a one-to-one teacher, if it was the right teacher, would have worked for you and given you much more conversational Spanish to start with. If they realise that you're not a writer, you're not somebody who wants to look at the words on a piece of paper, you actually just want to engross yourself in it, then I think that's what they do when they do these courses where you go for a month or two of weeks and you only talk Spanish in those, and I think those are handy as well, because the teacher to start with will be speaking slower and we'll be separating the words out, which is my biggest problem. You know, you hear somebody Spanish talking and it's all one big long word sometimes. And when you get onto the working out what the verb ending on the second word in the first sentence was, when you realise where the gap was in between the words, by that time you've lost the whole of the rest of the sentence, and you've lost the meaning of what's going on, and that's what slows you down. You're right, and that is the stress of it.
And never be afraid to ask. I even ask now if there's something that you're always going to have a vocabulary that just doesn't exist in your brain. Yeah. So if you're not native and you've learned, if you're fluent, so like myself and Lara, and I was laughing there, you were saying about writing things down, because our methods, Lara finds writing therapeutic. Obviously, she's done her books and stuff like that. And she just has thousands of notes all the time. And her idea of chilling out is just sat down writing.
Yeah.
So she'll just write and write and write and write. And I can remember when we first met and she came to move and live with me 20 years ago, and Lara was working at the time in a bar because we were on the coast, we were very young, and she just had a book and she'd just be writing Spanish all the time, just writing it down, you know, just pages and pages and pages of it. And I couldn't think of anything more horrific. You know, it was a struggle to get the ITV dates down for me. You know, so don't do notes at all. It's all on the computer, so work's different because we have systems. But in terms of like doing something personal and learning, writing it down, whereas some people find that therapeutic and probably their journey on how to do it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Clark has come up with a good point. I think he's on the same lines as me. Chatting with the locals every day, it's more fun to try and communicate than to learn in classes. Build the basics first, and word association with related images in mind helps enormously. So I think we're going for a kind of a mixture of the two there, which suits me. I went out for a meal on Thursday, I think it was, and ended up doing some shopping afterwards, which is fatal once you've had a few glasses of wine. But we walked into this lovely shop, and Liz was looking for a bangle, which to go with the rest of hers, and I was talking really, really well in Spanish with the shop owner, and asking how good my accent was, because I've never asked it before, and I would never have done that if I hadn't had half a bottle of wine to start with, I think.
Lowers your inhibitions.
Really, yeah, and I do. I have this is why I like writing things down and getting them right. I've got these two voices in my head which are always arguing against each other, saying, yeah, it's all right, just go into it, launch into it. And then the other voices go, no, you've got to get it right, otherwise they won't understand you and you'll be embarrassed. But yeah, a couple of glasses of wine, those two voices just disappear into the background, and you do things more relaxed. So
yeah, I like the word association there with related images. That goes back to my post-it notes. Cover your house. If you're moving to Spain, cover your house in post-it notes until you learn what items are. Anything.
Yeah, and you don't even need the pictures then, because the thing is there in front of you.
It's there. It's word association is brilliant. I did it for years. For years I did that.
And as Jeff says, it's a sign of respect, trying to communicate and learning Spanish. The woman in the shop and the person who was delivering stuff to the shop at the time for more stock were both saying, yeah, it's frustrating to them when they get people who've been coming in for 2, 3, 4 years and they still can't even communicate the basics in the shops. It is a shame. Robbo does say age can restrict the speed at which you learn and the amount that you remember. It is true. I mean, I've gone through a year of chemo and stuff as well, which is I've had chemo brain, so I've not been able to hold on to as much information. But it's just something. And I think the post-it notes is a good one for age, because repetition, it doesn't matter how old you are, it'll keep it in there. I think it'll keep on hammering away. I still have a problem with when I copa the vino, I forget what copa is, so I just miss it out in the sentence. But yeah, maybe I should just post-it note on all of the glasses. After all, I see the glasses often enough because I'm drinking the stuff. So there you go. That's bound to work.
And you can have fun with it when your family members come over, post-it note them. Do you know what I mean? It's not a problem.
Yeah, that's true. And my grandson, who's just who's just passed his, the equivalent of the O levels, the GCSEs, 16 years old.
Brilliant.
Exams, and Spanish is one of the subjects he was taking. And before he came over here on holiday, he was getting very, very low marks in Spanish. He's a mathematician, that's what he's going to be doing as a job. And it's a tough one for him. He's not got the brain for languages. But after coming over here and just chatting to me a bit and experiencing going out and eating in restaurants and picking up a few words, he ended up getting a really good grade in it. Not like an A, but he's moved up to a C or something like that, which is way, way better than he could have done before. So, yeah, just experiencing it is a big thing. So yeah. I think we found some kind of compromise on that. How long did it take you to become fluent then? And how do you know you're getting it right and getting your verb endings to make sense? But you've already talked about that. It's
I mean, I was told at the time I was 21, and my boss said if you don't learn in 3 months, then you're going to lose your job, which potentially meant I would have to leave Spain. So I had to get my act together quite quickly. So
fear and threats.
Fear and threats. There was no internet, phones. I didn't even have a mobile phone at that point. It was 2000, so I didn't bother to get one of them movie star old phones. So I learned quite quickly, because it was my only method of communicating with the people I live with and the people that I was having breakfast with and the people I was eating with. Though we did speak English to the clients in the hotel, but it wasn't, back then it just wasn't tolerated behind the scenes where you're at work that you didn't speak Spanish. So it wasn't there. It was quite harsh, but it did me quite well, because it wasn't their problem that I didn't speak Spanish. It was my problem, so I had to get my act together. Which I did quite quickly, as you can imagine, but I was a lot younger, and the pressure of not actually, because my accommodation came with my job, so it helped to get fluent quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Nelly says, quite rightly actually, difficult in tourist areas like Tenerife. Most speak English and they don't want to speak, and they want to speak in English if they can. Yeah, which is, it just shows you that most Spanish that I've spoken to, they really like to improve their English, and they're really pleased when you say, oh, your accent is really good. Your English is way better than my Spanish, and I'm trying hard, and so that makes them pleased, and it improves your communication and respect between you. So that is good.
This happened to us last year in Lanzarote, when we went for Semana Blanca this year. We were in a place called Puerto del Carmen, visiting Jess, my sister-in-law, and it's very touristy there. That's the Blackpool side of Lanzarote, really. It's great fun. It's great fun, that area. So many restaurants and there's everything to do, but it's definitely not cultural, put it that way. And when we were going into restaurants and stuff, obviously my kids speak Spanish like a native, and we speak fluently and quite well. And we kept they were like, obviously people would speak to us in English, and then we would respond and order in Spanish if we were going out for something to eat. And I'd be like, where are you lot from? We can't quite grasp the accent. We can't. Your kids are blonde, but sound like they're from, so that was quite funny. We had quite a few funny experiences there where, we ended
that was funny. Yeah, because your kids sound like Malagueñans, don't they?
Especially, I said, I don't know how it's possible that Isla can sound like she's from Peterborough and Malaga, but native. Yeah. She switches like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just what happens when you learn from birth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did you speak more English at home with them when they were growing up?
Yeah, so we'll speak English at home between us. So when we always did that, and then when the kids, and it's quite useful for people who are moving over with kids, because we speak English at home, what we did when the kids got to the age where they could literally just sit at a table and hold a pen, was we put them with a Spanish tutor, because just for things like grammar and stuff, because they've always been in a Spanish-speaking public school, so they've never had they always get 10s in English, which is good, but they've always been in Spanish-speaking public schools, so 50% of their life when they're at school is in Spanish. They get home, we speak English, and we don't have the tutor now, but for the first few years of their life, just because we couldn't give them the grammar, we weren't speaking at home, we had a tutor for them, and it's worked out well. They're both obviously native in both languages.
Yeah, Jan says practicing the vowel sounds really helps with pronunciation, as Spanish is phonetic, and unlike English, everything always sounds the same, I believe. Yeah, you're quite right. There are very fixed rules in Spanish. There are no words like in the English word ending ough has got 5, 6, 7 different ways of pronouncing it. In Spanish, that doesn't happen. The only thing when you might get something that looks like it's not pronounced the way that you would in Spanish is some place names and people's names, I think. Like Cadiz, you'd think it would be Cadiz when it's not. But I think that's because, like a lot of places in Andalusia, it comes from Old Andaluz, which was pronounced in a different way. So that's just carried on to the new name, as far as I can understand from what I've read. There you go. And Robert says there's some excellent podcasts on Spotify to learn Spanish. Yeah, it's good to be able to listen, especially if it's a native Spanish speaker that's doing it. That's one of the problems with the language apps. One of the language apps, I think Duolingo, that's Latin American Spanish, which does have some different words and some slightly different pronunciation. They don't always pronounce their Z's as TH like most Spanish people do. But then that's regional as well, isn't it? Or is it, Chris?
Yeah, it is. The pronunciation is incredible. You can go from Malaga to Granada, and it's completely different. So I've got a friend of mine who's from a place called Ventoras de San Jose, which is up above Loca. When they come down here and visit us, and we get together with friends who are from Malaga, it's 2 different accents, 2 different words sometimes they use for things, and it is albeit Andalusia does have a more in general lazy accent, then even the regions are different words. So a really good example of that is when I was in Almeria the day before, and I went to get some breakfast. We always ask for a certain thing here in Malaga, which is the size of the bread. There it's just a toasty. And I asked for the size of the bread, and they just looked at me, gone out, and went, "We don't. Look, you can have a piece of toast or nothing. Don't come with me if you want your small little baguettes and your pitufos or your Viennas, all this. Well, we've got tostadas or nothing else. What do you want? A tostada?" I said, "Yeah. What do you want on it?" And he went, "I'm going to tell you what you want on it." So it does. Even the food changes.
Brilliant. Nelly says, I can grasp the basics of Spanish until they start having a conversation which flows too fast for me. Yeah, and Spanish people do tend to talk over each other as well, which if you can't follow one sentence at a time, then there's no way you're going to be able to process 2 coming at you in different ears. So, yeah, but you do.
And the subject changes, never be worried about asking, because I've done it. I do it all the time, because they'll change a subject matter like that.
Yeah.
But hang on a minute, are you still talking about that? Because I'm completely lost now, because I understand what you're saying, but there's no relevance. Like, no, we've moved on. Okay. You can do that. I do that. I'll be like, hang on a minute, because obviously my biggest problem now is I'm going slightly deaf. So I understand what's going on. I just can't hear it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole other kind of worms, isn't it? Yeah. Lovely. I'm starting to get lots of adverts coming up on Facebook about hearing aids now. I've just reached that age, I guess. But it's going to be
That's
important.
Funny, I get the middle-aged bloating adverts.
Ah, there you go. Are they helping?
As soon as I hit 46, suddenly my Facebook's full of, have you got middle-aged bloating?
Is that just beer belly? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, and I've got there's all these amazing things that if I spend €50 on them, I'm going to look like Brad Pitt, apparently.
Yeah. And it's those, what is it, the chair yoga and things that they're doing, or chair exercises. You can get your 20-year-old body back. No, you can't. You can't. You might be able to get some of it back and look like your chest has firmed up, but you're not going to get the whole 20-year-old attitude back again.
No, it's buried there somewhere, but I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon.
Yeah. So there we go then. Let's close the door on that subject and go on to the next one, and which could be even more contentious. Cats versus dogs Which is best, and should you eat them? Go on then, Chris.
Well, evidently, for many reasons, I'm going to go with cats. We have the first and biggest reason is because we have a cat that it's been with us. It's been with myself, Lara, for 20 years nearly. Lara picked it up the first year that we met with her best friend after a couple of emails, which was good, and saved it from the front of a hotel, thinking that we could give it a few good years' life. And 20 years later, the cat has moved with us everywhere. And we didn't even think that she was going to see the kids, let alone see the kids until they were 10. And she's our family pet, and albeit slightly mad now and old and decrepit, she's still with us. So I'm going with cats.
Fair enough. I'm going to go with dogs. And why do I go with dogs? Because with lots and lots of reasons. We've got 2 dogs for a start. We did actually have. When I moved in with Liz, she had a cat, and unfortunately, it had been a wild cat that had been really mangy, and she looked after that for a bit. But we found it one winter all sitting curled up outside the back door and solid, and it had given up the ghost. So we bought another 2 cats from a rescue place, and. But we quickly realised we actually wanted a dog as well. But when the dog arrived, it chased the cats away. So they started living in lots of other houses in the area, and we did get reports back that they were all right, and actually living it up because they were getting fed in so many different houses. Because they're not loyal at all. They just don't give a shit where they live as long as they're getting fed. So, and dogs will defend you. Cats don't give a shit about that. They'll just get on with defending themselves and eating birds. And dogs will guard your property. Cats don't give a shit about that either, really. And dogs will eat what they're given at meal times and eat it all up. Cats can sometimes go, oh, thanks for that, and then just wander off after having a few mouthfuls. And when dogs do something a little bad, they tend to have an apologetic look and look genuinely sorry. But not cats, really. That's and you can tickle a dog without getting scratched and bitten, but you can't often do that with a cat. They'll make you think that you can, but then they'll suddenly change and blood will be spilled. And dogs, I've got loads of these. Dogs are cute and daft and honest. And while you see lots of memes, cat memes, thousands of them on YouTube all the time. They may be the subject of all of those memes, but behind those fake cute expressions lurks the cold, dead heart of a killer. You can't trust them. They're lying to you all the time. They think they can win you over by bringing you in a half-dead creature to prove they're the masters of the domain, but they just end up leaving a trail of destruction in your kitchen. And dogs can sit on you without sticking knives into you, just like cats do. I always get spiked by cats. And I think dogs will only be vicious if their owners have made them that way, or if they're defending you, really. I've never had any viciousness from any dogs I've had. We occasionally get a bark from them if you wake them up when they're in deep sleep and they think they're being attacked. But I think cats are just they're born vicious. Just because they're fluffy, they get away with it. I think it's no surprise that horror films are full of cats. They're omens of terror and death. I rest my case.
I think they're mystical, though. I think cats are. I mean, the thing is about cats, they are loving. Our cat's very loving, and they're very clean. You don't have to go behind a cat and pick up its poo. And unfortunately, I could never have a dog because I could never clean up the excrement as we're going for a walk. It would just be that would never happen. Couldn't do it. It's not. Cleaning out the cat tray is hard enough, which, to be honest, Lara does anyway. But they are loyal, so they will come back. But if you don't feed them in their regular time, so they're very, then they will go and make sure that they've been fed. Whereas a dog will just sit there and die, really. So cats are survival animals more than anything, and also the flexibility of a cat. So our cat, if we go away for a weekend or we can't make it home, we're not tied down to having a dog. you know, where I've been sat in meals and people, oh, we've got to go now. And brilliant, I've got to tow. Why have we got to go? Well, because of the dogs. You know, they're harder than children. They're harder than children at times because you've got to go back because they'll wreck something or something will happen. And
you can't leave children on their own at all, but you can with dogs.
Can you not? Hey, a minute. Quick, let me just
make a note of that. Yeah,
no.
Do a post-it note on the front door before you go.
Yeah, but we can bring them with us, you see, and then, you know, they're happy. They can entertain themselves. Whereas dogs on their own, no, it's a nightmare. They'll rip your curtains to bits. And whereas a cat, you know, all you got to do if you are going away is you can actually get cat feeders, which automatically do it, and the cat's just going to not pine for you and cry. It's going to go, yeah, I'm getting fed, and that'll be it. Though I do have to say now our cat is very, very old, and she's fine because we took her to the vet. She's fine, but her brain isn't quite where it should be now because of her age. Mm-hmm. She does actually pine for us now if we're not there. When we get back, I've seen it on the security camera at home where she just sits at the door. But that's, I think, because of her age and because of her mental state, really. And she forgets when she's eaten, so she'll eat, and then 2 minutes later cry for food, and you've just eaten, and then say, okay, well, I'll put you some more down, look at it and go, oh, I've just eaten. You know, so that's the sort of stage she's at. But
dementia cat,
yeah, she's got a little bit of dementia, but she's still fine, you know, she's good. And so I think the flexibility, if you want an animal and you know, and it's not a hamster, something slightly bigger, because hamsters are quite flexible as well, you can leave them for a couple of days. A cat is the answer.
You can, if you've got a good dog sitter and so, you know, somebody to look after them, that makes it really easy, because then they've got another companion to play with. And and we happen to have good people for that. And it's also, if you're out with having a meal with somebody who's not as amusing or friendly as you want them to be, then you've got an excuse to get away, haven't you? So now I've got to feed the dogs now.
Yeah, but then we just start poking the kids so they start playing up, and then it's like they're really well behaved, so they don't. But you start, listen, we've got to go. Go, start playing up. Go on.
Yeah.
Don't you say to Isla, don't you feel tired? She's like, no, not at all.
Yeah, pretend you feel tired.
Yeah. Quick, fall asleep on the table.
Robert, it looks like Robbo's a cat person. We have one who finally starting to settle in and get to know her new home. There you go. Jeff says, if you live in the campo here and a kind soul, you probably eventually end up feeding a cat or dog at some point. It's true, there are wild ones. And having a dog to guard your home in the campo is handy. And Nelly says, we're dog people, but it is so tying. We just lost ours and vowed not to get another so we can travel more. Chris might even be in touch. So yes, indeed, that's true. We found where, when one of our pets died, it wasn't long before we wanted to get another dog.
I know that's going to happen to me when Player goes, because my daughter's desperate for a dog. And we don't know how long it's going to be. And to be honest, and I will be honest, going against my independence argument, with the age of our cat now, when we went away, the last time we went away just a couple of days to Cadiz, my friend actually moved into our house to look after her, because we felt really bad. She's at that point in her life now where she deserves it, but she's and he's got a kid, which meant that she wasn't on her own. So I don't think most people go to those lengths for a cat unless she reaches 20 years old and is slightly senile.
Yeah, and one of the things I've seen at yours, you've got other cats that come in and try and invade the garden, and yours isn't strong enough to be able to cope with that now. And
no, we have to leave her in now. So it's a bit sad, because a couple of times she's been attacked outside. One time quite seriously, we had to take her to the hospital because she was in shock. And have to say, 24-hour vets, amazing. They gave her 2 injections, checked her over. They scanned. They did a radiografia thing. They stick it in a, what's it called, you can see your bones, X-ray.
X-ray, yeah.
And they did everything, and it was something like €200, but it was well worth it for emergency vets on a Saturday, and they gave her a full bill of health. But from then, unfortunately, we can't, because the other cats are looking for food and they're wild. They we have to keep her in now.
There you go. Barry from Unitech says, morning guys, a bit late to the party this morning. We have 5 cats. We had one, but she had 4 kittens. Now we have 5 cats. That's a common thing with cats, unless you get them sorted early on. There are organisations in Computer, several actually, who look after the wild cats and and every other wandering stray that comes around, and it's a rule, I think, with the local vets that you can bring them in and get them sorted so that they don't continually have kittens, because it is a problem. But then again, it keeps away the rats, I suppose.
Yeah,
because I've not seen many rats at all in Computer at all. They could do with that in New York. They've got a massive rat problem. They just need a load of cats. But then again, what's going to happen when there's a plague of cats on the street and there's too many?
Yeah.
There'll be there'll be a lot of flat cats.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So there you go. Any more comments about any of those? We're back to being friends again now. And I do actually like cats as well, but one of my friends was at their place, and they only have cats. They've got 3, I think, and I wasn't encouraging the cat to come and sit on me, and she said, "What's the matter? Don't you like cats?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine with cats. I think they're all right, but I'm a dog person. I prefer having a dog sitting on me. But I don't hate your cats. Don't worry." I had to convince her. She was put out, I think, for that, but it's all right. And Jeff Clark says, "I know you have to insure your dogs here in Spain." We haven't. The new rule hasn't come in where you absolutely have to, but a lot of the time it's on your house insurance. It's included in that you have to insure them.
Don't have to insure cats.
No, that's true.
Thanks.
It'd cost you a fortune, wouldn't it, if you kept taking in strays? People who do that, you become a lonely cat person. There's just a house full of.
Though jokes aside, I believe that that you can insure them for health, things, can't you? So you can get healthy. Is it health insurance? I don't know, but for vet bill insurance.
It's just called pet insurance, I think, but it's for health. Yeah, I think it covers if they suddenly eat somebody, and you have a vicious pet. But then again, if that happens, in the UK they'd get put down, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
a cat would think nothing of eating your face off when you die. That's what they do, because that's you're not you anymore, I think. But I don't know if dogs would do that. I think dogs would starve if you left them. Yeah. So there we go. That's the end of that. If you like the New Style Fortnightly show, I keep calling it New Style. We've been doing it for a few months now, but click on the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I think most of you are subscribers already. Join us every 2 weeks for this show. Don't miss the shows in between either. I'll tell you in a moment who your special guest will be next week. But for now, let's give Chris a big virtual hug and a kiss and say, see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
So, who do I have on the show next week? Well, not actually confirmed yet, but actually, let me just check, just in case I've had a message from them, because I sent them a message this morning. No, nothing yet. So I will confirm during the week, but I've asked Fran, our very helpful property lawyer, and I think we might just do a general show, like an Ask Us Anything, but specifically about Ask Us Anything about the laws, property law and that kind of thing, all of the related stuff to moving to Spain. And there you see. So if you're not registered on our Facebook channel, just like that, or join the Facebook community group, the YouTooSpain community, and you can ask us questions on that all throughout the week, and you'll get your answers on the show. Or it might be somebody completely different. We'll find out. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us and leaving comments and hitting the like button and supporting us. Yes, there's still time to do that. And memberships, there's a little $ sign down somewhere in that direction. And and it'll all be very much appreciated. I'll see you either. You don't have to give dollars, by the way. That's just because it's an American company. I will see you either on the midweek video or live on Saturday mornings at our regular time of 9 a.m. if you're in the UK or Ireland or Portugal, or 10 o'clock in the morning if you're in Spain or the whole of Central Europe. And that's all for this week. Somebody pass around the strike cookies with added cats and dogs chunks. And not really, don't eat them. And stop accusing other people of eating them as well, for goodness sake, it's just ridiculous. Peace and love, peas and fluff. And here's one final message from all the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. Take it away, boys.
Goodbye, toodaloo, peace and love, peas and fluff, oi oi, don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? Alright then, look mum, I'm dancing, oh, I'm all a quiver, let's dance.